to one and all. This is your Prabhu Swaminathan, the founder and the Chief Heart Officer of AFMOI. And I'm sure everybody will know AFMOI today. AFMOI stands for Academy for Market Orientation India. We are a purpose-driven brand attached to LAFOS Talent Solutions India Private Limited, and we have a wonderful and great vision of taking the employability of this state to begin with to number one in the next 5 years, and probably our vision in the future is also more likely to get expanded. In this video, I would like to share my views about leadership, and one topic which is personally very close to my heart is John C. Maxwell's the 5 levels of leadership, and this 5 levels of leadership is what that we will be that I have discovered or invented. This is something that what Maxwell has actually proposed, and I'm just going to share my own perspectives about this 5 levels of leadership. Level 1 is actually called as the leadership by the position, and I would even probably call it as leadership by power. The second level of leadership is actually called as leadership by permission. The second P, it is called as leadership by permission. And the third level of leadership is called as leadership by production. It is the third P stands for production. And the fourth level of leadership is called as the leadership by reproduction. And the fifth level of leadership is the ultimatum of leadership. Is called as the leadership pinnacle. That is the fifth P. And now let's understand, one by one, what every P actually means, and where do we stand, or where do you stand, and is there a need for us to move above the ladder in this highly volatile market conditions. Okay, the first P, which is called as the leadership by power or leadership by position. This simply means, in one simple word, people follow you because they don't have an option, which is like they have to follow you. And how does it happen? And this is what typically, the traditional cultural mindset people think about leadership, because I have the power, I have the authority, and the people who are below me or subordinates to me have to follow me because they don't have an option. This is basically the leadership by position. In simple words, if I have to put it in a summary, it's like I am the doctor, trust me, and so I have to be right. So that's the kind of a model. It may go more towards an authoritative kind of a leadership style because it is to do with power. Again, in power, there are a lot of power which we can classify. To simply put, there are legitimate power, there are reward power, there are reinforcement power, there are punishment power, and there are a lot of powers that that one leader could have. And any of these powers or the combination of these powers at any point in time can make a subordinate follow you. So please keep this in mind. This is the basic level of leadership, that leadership by power. And the second level of leadership, the one step above, is leadership by permission. What predominantly this deals is leadership by relationship. If I have to demonstrate it with a very simple example, because in the first case people have to follow you, in the second case people want to follow you. That's a simple difference which I can probably say. In a very everyday scenario, in a layman's language, you are the manager of your team, and you may be a very, very good person by heart, and you don't see the levels, and you don't see the hierarchy. You tag along with your team member and have lunch. You tag along with your team member and go for a tea or a cup of coffee. You don't see the hierarchy. And what does the team talk about you? People say, I have an excellent manager. He doesn't see any hierarchy. He just mingles with me very casually, and he doesn't have any ego, and so I have to follow him, and so probably I can trust him. So this is the second level of leadership. I would say this is leadership by the permission, which is predominantly driven by the relationship. The third level of leadership, I would say, is leadership by production. That is the third P. what does this actually mean? You will always have somebody in an organization who has been contributing consistently to the organization in terms of the top line or the bottom line, and he would have been always a successful performer, which means people look up to you for the contribution that you have made to the system that where you are actually part of. People look up to you for the productive contribution that you have made to the system and the team. People start respecting you, people start valuing you, people look up to you for that. So that is leadership by production. The fourth level of leadership, most of the people today, I would say, are in the zone of 2 and 3. That is leadership by relationship and leadership by production. And the fourth level of leadership is, I would say, is like one step above. That is leadership by reproduction. This is where I would say the kind of a personal touch comes, and your team member or our team member would ask us, what did my leader do to my life? What is the meaning that he has impacted in my life? I would like to demonstrate with a wonderful story of what I have heard. Let me go ahead with the story first, and let's come back to the leadership by reproduction. I heard that once upon a time, there was a space research scientist team who were working together, and one of the scientists wanted to actually take his younger kid to a circus late in the evening, and he wanted to approach his boss or a leader to ask for a permission that he wanted to leave early on that particular day, because he has committed that he will take his small son to a circus. So the boss granted the permission, and at the end of the day, by around the time that the subordinate was supposed to leave, the boss came into the subordinate's workstation, and he found that the subordinate was so deeply engrossed in the work, so committed to the work, and then the boss actually moved out of that but place without disturbing him. So the subordinate was very, very sincere and committed in the work. After 2 hours, the subordinate suddenly realized, oh my God, that I have to take my kid to the circus. I missed it. So he packed his bags, he packed his I would say the luggages, and then he was going back home very fast. By around 8:30, when he knocked the door of the house, he was expecting some big quarrel which is going to happen, because he committed to the kid, and unfortunately he couldn't take the kid to the circus. But the house was very calm, and when he entered into the house, he asked his wife, I'm sorry, I couldn't keep up to my commitments. And the wife said, don't worry, the kid has been already taken to the circus. And he was surprised, so how could this happen? And she said, your boss came to our house, and he took our kid to the circus because you were deeply committed to your work. Can we all imagine that who's the boss? The great leader is all about, he is none other than, once upon a time, the great people's president, the humble man, the APJ Abdul Kalam. I always say APJ stands for achievement through purpose and joy. Achievement through purpose and joy. That is A, P and J. Joy, and in fact one more step, Kalam stands for knowledge farming. There are a lot of leaders that we have seen. This is what is fourth level of leadership, my dear friends. What is the meaning that Abdul Kalam has actually impacted or imparted in the subordinate's life? Okay, he created a meaning in their life. That is what is the fourth level of leadership, where we move one step ahead, and then everybody sees this leader has impacted in our life. And everybody can, possibly move towards that, but the journey needs a lot of commitment. The journey needs absolute surrender. The journey needs absolute dedication of how is it I'm going to impact my, fellow beings or the fellow mates' life and contribute to them. Okay, and it is also said that I think some press reporter went and spoke to Abdul Kalam. Why is that? What makes you so happy? What makes you so maintain this smiling face always? What he said? He said, whenever I meet a person, whenever I see a person, okay, I always think, what is that I can give it to him? what is that I can do for him? And this mind, this sense of giving has actually made this gentleman as a people's president. That is why when nature took him away from this world, it was a person in the grassroots level, an auto rickshaw man, a person who is having a small kirana shop, to the greatest CEOs of this entire world, mourned for him on the day that when he was, taken back by nature. Okay, that is fourth level of leadership. And the fifth level of leadership for me is the leadership by Pinnacle. There are a lot of things, people say about leadership by Pinnacle. Let me make it very simple. This is when you become a brand. People follow you just by name. People follow you whatever you say without even thinking. You go to a shop. What happens in a brand hierarchy? In a brand hierarchy, initially a product or a service does lot of things, to build that trust. And how can one build that trust? One can build that trust only when you deliver the promise, only when you deliver the meaning in everybody's life consistently throughout, repeatedly throughout, without compromising on the quality. Not for the stage, not for the fame, not for the position, not for the place, not for the leadership level that you want to, but from a genuine feel that you wanted to make an impact in their life. And when you deliver it consistently, you become a brand. Your name can become a brand. Individually, you can become a brand. That is when you become a leadership, you reach a stage of leadership Pinnacle. And I would say, my marketing professor always relates the highest level of brand to something called leadership marketing nirvana. It's like, you reach a stage where people trust you blindly. Customers buy the product without even thinking, like that. When you reach a stage of the leadership Pinnacle, people trust you whatever you say. People follow you whatever you say. And that can happen only when we consistently deliver meaning in the people's life around us. Consistently take an effort genuinely from the bottom of the heart to make an impact in their life. So I'm sure this 5 levels of leadership would have made some impact, would have made some some thought provoking in your mind. I'm sure this day and the future for you would be a journey for achieving and growing from one level to other level, wherever we are today. If you are in level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4 or level 5, still we always have an opportunity to move up the ladder in terms of leadership. And this is the 5th level of leadership, is the state which is the most critical for this highly dynamic, volatile, ambiguous, uncertain market. Because, as I always say, one of the most important yet very scarce resource is the human trust. And one can reach the 5th level of leadership by consistently delivering meaning in other people's life. For that, we have to trust each other. Thank you so much. And this is your Prabhu Swaminathan, the founder and the Chief Heart Officer of AFMOI, Academy for Market Orientation India, the purpose-driven brand of LAFOS Talent Solutions India Private Limited, with the vision of taking the employability of the state to number 1 in the next 5 years. Thank you so much.